If you're anything like me, then your parents did not allow you to live up to your full potential. They didn't spend the money they should have spent on you. They didn't support you in the areas that you needed to be supported in. And perhaps because of that, you now have trouble holding on to a job. You have trouble holding on to a steady relationship because of everything they imposed on you. If that sounds like you, by the end of this video, you will know how to reverse all that scarring. You will live up to your full potential and you will never be that sort of toxic parent to your children ever again. Hey guys, my name's Yahya, founder and creator of Record Breaker, where I help you shatter past your highest revenue record months in the shortest amount of time. So here's the deal. I didn't have the most toxic parents on the planet. I had regular parents with regular problems and regular hang-ups that I considered highly toxic during various parts of my life. One of the beliefs they gave me is that money is scarce. I can still remember clearly when I was maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, my dad telling me, Yahya, money doesn't grow on trees. To my dad, he was teaching me a lesson. He was teaching me to value money. The way I inferred it is that money is scarce. And I embraced that belief and I lived with it for a major portion of my life. Another belief that they may not have actively intended to give me, but I picked it up during conversations in my house, was that money is the root of all evil. My father worked a regular 9-to-5 job for the government, and every time we asked him to go to the private sector to make more money, have more options, he would give us a lecture on being patriotic and doing good things for the common man and supporting the common man, and people who have money are evil and the corporate sector is evil and all that stuff. My mother was the youngest of all her siblings, and while her family came from affluence, by the time she was born, they were on hard times. So she grew up in a penny pinching environment, which then transferred to how she conducted herself with us. While growing up, I particularly remember us eating low quality food because my parents invested what they told me was all their money into providing an education for us. Now, they thought that was a brilliant education. To me, it was an okay education. But essentially, they didn't have enough money to give us great food to eat. And I remember going through phases of my life, studying the importance of nutrition, asking them to give me better quality food and being told, when you make money, you can start getting that sort of food. For now, this is all we can give you. Study hard, do a good job. And linked to this is the last belief they gave me, which is you need to work hard to make a little bit of money. And that's what life's going to be like for the rest of your life. These 4 crippling beliefs are beliefs that I grew up with, and the way I conducted myself throughout most of my early adolescent life. I would work hard, I would work really hard, and I would make some money. Now my subconscious mind would be giving me mixed signals. Hey Yahya, how did you make so much money? You do know that money is the root cause of all evil. Are you evil? You do know that money is scarce. Are you going to lose this money? And so I would sabotage myself and I would blow my money on useless junk that I didn't need. I'd go buy a car, I'd go buy an expensive fancy watch, and I had to go through the cycle of working hard to make money, then going and blowing the money because I thought it's not going to happen again and that money is the root cause of all evil, and then work towards getting it out of my system, reprogramming my mind to let go of these beliefs. So, at one point in time in my life, when I reached this point of awareness, I also realized my parents were the ones who gave me these beliefs. And then I started resenting them and hating the fact that they didn't conduct themselves better. They didn't give me a better set of beliefs to conduct my life with. And this is where I had to make a very hard choice. Was I, for the rest of my life, going to blame them and resent them for turning me into the person I was today with the beliefs I had in mind and the way I was subconsciously sabotaging myself? Or was I going to remove the beliefs, see them as human beings with their own issues and their own trials and errors and their way of making choices, some of which were good, some of which were bad, let go of my perception of the way they had wronged me and move on with my life? But before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit of a story. Now, like I said, my parents weren't bad people, they were regular people. So my father was the eldest amongst all his siblings. His father passed away at a very young age. He was in his teens, so he had to quit his education, get a job, and start providing for his family, for all his younger siblings, for his mother, pay the bills, get his sisters married off, and raise his own family. Now that's a lot of pressure for a young man. And he, unlike me, didn't have a father guiding him through the decisions he had to make. So he made the decisions based off of whatever his mental construct at that time was, based off of whatever emotions he was feeling at that time. My mother grew up in the shadow of an elder sister who lived a wonderful, beautiful fairy tale life, which all came crashing down when she got married and was a victim of domestic abuse and eventually divorce. And then her life was miserable. And this belief was drilled into her that life is scary, life is unpredictable, and life is harsh, and you have to protect yourself, and you have to save for a rainy day because you never know when a beautiful life will be shattered and destroyed forever. These are the people that raised me. And so today, in spite of their circumstances, I honestly, genuinely think they tried their best to raise me, and they tried their best to provide for me. Now, I work with clients who've had some pretty horrific things done to them by their parents during their childhood. They've been physically and emotionally abused, they've been blackmailed, they've been forced to grow up because their parents had an addiction or some sort of problem, or they've just had absent parents, single parent, or a parent who's there but pretty much not there in mind or in spirit. And these traumas show up in the form of horrible bad beliefs, just like mine did when my clients start to make money. They do exactly what I was doing. Sometimes they sabotage and they go blow all their money on something that they don't need to have. Other times they go and hoard all their money and refuse to spend it on themselves or their business where they need to level up, to upgrade. They refuse to invest in themselves because of other beliefs like money is scarce, save all the money you have, don't invest in yourself, etc., etc., etc. Now, I had a client in real estate who was blaming his mother for some pretty horrible things that happened to him in his childhood, including being physically assaulted and scarred and all those things. And I spoke with him and I was like, listen, man, here's the thing. Your mother is responsible for all these things. Agreed, understood. And now she's passed away. What are you going to do about it for the rest of your life? Are you going to, for the rest of your life, complain and lament the fact that she was horrible and she crippled you? Or are you going to work on yourself, your traumas, your issues, and move on because you have the rest of your life left? Are you going to let hatred and resentment build up in your heart? Because those are horrible emotions. They're going to cripple you far more than any limiting belief. Or are you going to invest in yourself, cure yourself, forgive what happened to you, and move on? If you don't feel good, forget about living a good life. And you only have one life. So here's an exercise I want you to do. If you've had any of these experiences or you had any residual trauma of even a tiny thing that happened with your parents while you were growing up or even a guardian, the first step is to see them not as people in positions of power or people in positions of authority, but as regular people. So what you want to do is you want to go back to the age that they were when you were a child. So let's say you're 30 years old right now and your parents were 20 when they had you. Go back to when you were 20 and you see them as equals and you see them neutrally as regular, normal people trying to raise you. Now, when you do this, you will experience one of two outcomes. The first outcome is you're going to see them transparently for who they truly are, and you're going to be like, well, they tried to do a good job, they could have done better, but whatever, it's fine. Or you're going to see them as absolute self-absorbed jerks who should have done better, but they just did not for whatever reason. The outcome doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether they were average, regular people trying to do a good job or if they were horrible people who should have done much better and just didn't care. Because here's the deal. They're either gone or soon will be gone. And you're going to be left with all your traumas and all your problems and all the toxicity that they scarred you with. And so you need to decide what you want to do with your life for the rest of your life. Even though all the things in the world should have happened to you, but they didn't. You can change them now. You can take a decision to become the hero of your life, regardless of how somebody treated you. Fix what needs to be fixed. Work on your traumas. Work on all the things holding you back. Work on your beliefs and move on. Personally, I chose to move on. And I'll tell you why, because it's a very important reason. And that reason is I don't believe in giving anyone the power to influence the trajectory of my life for me, including my parents. Because I have one life and then it's over. And I hope you choose the same. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.